As I'm sure many of you are aware, Japan is known for its bizarre and frankly quite messed up game shows. I think The Simpsons showed it the best.
We punish ignorance.
What?
Now while most of these are fun to watch, there's a few of them that borderline torture. And then there's one that steps over the borderline and is just straight up torture. Imagine being locked in a room, stripped naked and forced to beg for clothes and food. And without your knowledge, you're streamed to 16 million viewers. And just when you think that it can't get any worse, it gets worse. In fact, it gets so much worse. And even when you think the challenge is over, it's not over. Today, lady and man, we are talking about Tomoaki Hamatsu and the torture that he was put through on Susumu Denpa Shonen. Hamatsu was born in Fukushima, Japan in 1975, and he became a bit of a household name when at 22 he was selected from an audition to star in a reality TV show in Japan. It had always been Hamatsu's dream to have stardom and make it big in the comedy world, so to him, this was the start of his dream. So, without signing a contract, Hamatsu was blindfolded and taken to a small room. Now keep in mind, Hamatsu didn't have any idea what he was getting into at all, not even an inkling. So you can imagine that it was a bit of a shock to Hamatsu that when he reached the apartment, he was ordered to strip completely naked and dispose of his clothes. And to Hamatsu, this wasn't good. I mean, to anyone, that's not good, but especially to Hamatsu. Hamatsu later said in an interview, "My dad is a cop, and when I first announced that for my career choice it was going to be comedy, he was not thrilled, and we had to go through some things to get him around to the idea. And he said the one thing I must never do is strip in public." Uh-oh. So at this stage, Hamatsu was thinking it was pretty bizarre. He highly doubted that anyone would actually see this. It was being broadcast live without Hamatsu's knowledge. Everyone could see it. And this was just the beginning. Hamatsu had no clothes, no food, and no company, except for a small video camera where he was forced to film himself every couple of hours. And from here, he was told that he could live off anything that he won through magazine sweepstakes. And if you don't know what a sweepstake is, it's basically a competition that is very hard to win. So how did these odds work out? Surely, the odds weren't good enough for him to survive. Well, that's where the absolutely massive stack of magazines come into play. Hamatsu's life for 15 months was essentially just sweeping through magazines, trying to win the competitions. Naked. Don't forget he was naked. The early days of the show showed Hamatsu lose a drastic amount of weight because he had no food, and this led to the producers briefly supplying him with bread. And then as soon as he won any form of food, they stopped supplying him with bread. So for over a year, Hamatsu lived off his sweepstake winnings. But it wasn't all good, because even when he'd win rice, he wouldn't have anything to cook it with. Throughout his time on the show, his mental health deteriorated significantly. He lost weight and was later diagnosed as malnourished. And he wasn't even able to wear the clothes that he won, because most of them were female underwear that didn't fit his tall, lanky body. I'm not kidding. He only ever won female underwear. It wasn't all bad. Hamatsu celebrated his wins, which included howling at the moon and barking at the camera when he won a bag of dog food, which he ended up eating because he had literally no other choice. He became best friends with a toy seal, made an action figure into a sensei, and even won a PlayStation at one point. But then he stopped playing because he realized that the more time he spent on the PlayStation, the less time he spent winning competitions through the magazines, which meant he had no food. See? Not all bad. Hamatsu remained in the room for 335 days until he won 1 million yen worth of sweepstake prizes, which is the equivalent to $6,000 US. Cool. So at this point he's done, right? Hey guys, if you're enjoying my videos, please check out my Patreon. It takes a lot of effort, and YouTube pays f*** all. So check out my Patreon and keep watching the video. Enjoy. Love you guys. Mwah. Once finished, Producers gave him clothes, blindfolded him, and led him into a car. And then they took him to Korea, put him in another room, stole his clothes, and ordered him to win sweepstakes until he had enough money to get his plane ticket home to Japan. That took me like 6 takes. He had to do it all over again. It took him 4 months to win enough money to get back to Tokyo, but it still wasn't over. Once he arrived back in Tokyo, he was blindfolded again, stripped completely naked, and sent to a small room. And after he did, the walls literally collapsed around him, exposing a naked Hamatsu to a live studio audience. And this is where they revealed that he was filmed the entire time. How? Hamatsu's story is now a movie on Hulu. Hamatsu dealt with the whole experience weirdly well. I don't know how, but hats off to him, because I probably would have turned evil. Like, really, really evil. Like, share, comment, subscribe.